Hello everybody. Today we'll be reviewing the top gainers from 5 to number 10 for the Friday session of June 6th, 2026. I think it was June 5th, my bad. Last video we did the top 5, so 1 through 5. Now we're going to be looking at the bottom 5, okay? Still plenty of money to be made with these stocks, still plenty of rotation, still plenty of movement, and still plenty of pattern recognition, steam stuff. We're going to see how these plays differ from the top 5, and we're going to see where opportunity is and where it isn't. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so last time we reviewed SCIG, SPHL, NOTV, RMSG, and STI. Now, today we're going to be reviewing BGMS, SUGP, ELOG, CMND, and SNBR. Okay, we may even have a little fun looking down at these other ones too, but for now, let's get a start with BGMS. Okay, BGMS, as usual, what we're going to do, we go to a big time frame, and we're going to go ahead and look at the internals. Okay, so what we're going to see here, $2.37 million float, so 2.37 million shares able to be traded. Okay, and a $3.56 million float market cap. That's currently at 1.5. So when we started this play at 1.0, it's what's that, 50% lower. So we had a really small company. Okay, anything under $100 million is still a small company. Anything under $10 million is a very movable company. Okay, let's see what the news we had. So we see that with this play and our previous things, this more looks like a reverse split. This doesn't just really happen out of nowhere. We did have a day though that we moved 272% on 63 million volume. We actually get to see though, the beauty of this is that when we did click volume again, we ended up trading about 105 million volume, and then we ended up actually moving up to the top, at least from 105 to 28, which is another 200% or so, even a little more, 280%. So this thing has been known to move. It can create a big movement for people, and we're gonna check the news. Okay, so 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I think 3 days ago, BioGreen Med Solution announces business combination agreement to acquire Future NRG SDNBHD. Not exactly fucking sure what that means, but business combination agreement. So Future NRG is a Malaysia-based technology integrator and a project developer operating at a forefront of innovative and sustainable medical waste management for healthcare waste generators, including clinics, dental practices, veterinary clinics, dialysis centers. Like, think about this. That's a big fucking market. That's big. Okay? It's a very big market. Or I'm not sure how competitive it is, but there's a lot of hospitals and there's a lot of things you could be doing. Okay? So we get a business combination. Okay? Beautiful. To acquire Malaysia Waste Tech Company. Okay, so this big company acquires another company, and then they move up 172%. Let's see what it looks like. Let's see what our trading day looks like. Let's move into the 4 hour. Okay. Okay. So what do we have here? This is a 20. This says 20 here at the bottom, so that means it was the 4 hour time period from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. because it's military time, so 20 is actually 8 p.m. Okay, so we moved in after hours. This is an after hours extension. So what happens is we move 148% in after hours, trading 11 million volume in 4 hours, and then we come into pre-market, and from pre-market from 4 to 8, we trade another 12 million shares, so a 12x. So the first thing's an 11x for a close of 148%, and then we get a 12x. Though actually, it's not 11x. I'm sorry, 2.37. So it's about a 5x, 5x rotation, and then another about a 5x rotation, and then we only move 15%, and then we come in at 9:30. This is only an hour and a half. In an hour and a half, we trade about one float. We lose 10%, and then in the next session, the next 9:30 to 13:30. So was that 4 hours? Is that 4 hours? It might be. I think it's 4 hours. We trade another 28 million shares, but we lose 41% in price. Okay, so we rotated pretty heavily, but we still lost a lot of price. Come into here, 28 million shares from 13:30 to 16, so 1:30 to 4 p.m. We trade another 28 million shares and only close at 5%, and then coming into after hours, we actually boost up a little bit, 17% on about 2 rotation. Okay, so a lot of activity, and a lot of movement. Let's see where we'll see where this stock really makes sense for someone who wants to trade this. Okay, so we moved in after hours. I think we can start on the 5 minute. We don't need to get too small. I mean, we can, but I think 5 minutes a good base, a good base. So we get something like this. This is your big picture. Okay, this is, or we'll start like this. This is your big picture. Okay, so what we can see here is we have an enormous spike, an enormous spike. Okay, so we get to the 5 second chart. I'm guaranteed you could probably get some pips in here in the 5 second chart, but you know, if your game plan is to be a little bit more patient, then this stock here, how much fruit is there to be offered? You know, even if you caught this base here, even if you caught this base here, um, from 2.3 to 3.2, actually decently profitable. The only problem I see there with that move is like you have to catch the complete bottom, right, which is a very difficult thing to do, and then you also don't have any time to sell. I mean, you do. You're on the 5 minute chart, but it's less time than would be considered as like a true movement, right? Like it's not like you're gonna spend 1 second up by your thing, and then look, we make a high, can't break it, can't break it, right? Um, so you get this high, you make your first low, you try to test that low, you lose your volume, come into intraday, and then we just pick a direction, right? We just break through our lows, and then we do that until we make this low, right? Create another one, come to test this low, and then in here we come here, and now we try to test this low down here, and the same beautiful ideas here, and the idea that we sell out all this volume. Okay, now we're at a really reasonable place we want to be, and this is short though. Like you have to be aware. Like you could have been, you could have saw this, and then you still got to think to yourself, I have to wait to see. First of all, we still got to test this low, right? And we kind of did, and we broke back down. And now, are we looking to make a new low? And what is volume doing? So volume kicks a little bit, but we still can't break out of here. We settle back down. Okay, settle back down again. Big expansive sell volume, and now we're trading back down to about right here at about 161K per 5 minutes. Okay, so you're not getting the craziest rotation, but you're still getting enough to a degree to where the stock is still a bit active, right? Like you're trail trading about like 5%, 7% every 5 minutes. You're on track to rotate a float here eventually, and you already rotated a bunch. You already got a big discount from the previous early session. So from this position, it's still hard to play. This can still be hard to play, especially you got to think too, like all the other plays in the day. Yeah, they move so much and there's so much opportunity. There may not be as much volume for this play, right? Especially as there's not as much opportunity and there's not much real like clean structure for a continuation. It's only a business agreement. It's only a business combination. Like it's an acquisition actually. It was a business acquisition, a merger combination. So these things can be very beneficial and it ends up being beneficial though. You got to think like if you're a company holder and we go from $1 to 170, that's a beautiful trading session. But for the trader, you're more focused on internal movement. Okay, we don't really care about as we care, but we don't necessarily. We more care about the opportunity present. Okay, so see here that this is a beautiful move here. Um, get your low, make a new low. So get your low, test it, push down, try to make a new low, make a new low with more expansive selling volume, rotate in a little bit, rotate out a little bit, and then we push back up, try to break this low, do break this low, but then we just don't have that continuation and we push back down, make a new low. Now we can't even get close to try to test this, and then we push back down to here. So from here, now you get this, okay? This is a tough position, but it makes sense. So we get this high, okay? And we want to retest this previous high at 156. Get that retest at 156. Get your confirmation here, 5%, 182K. And now you have 10 minutes. 10 minutes of compression. And then you get a huge break, 18%. 18% comes back down. You want to come and test your 160 level. It comes back down. You get your 160 level. You get your confirmation at 740K volume. You push back again for another 2.3 million. And now, still the same idea. You want to be testing 175, okay? So you actually get a little bit of a break on 2.6 million, but now we're trading 2.6 million every 5 minutes, right? In this 5 minute session. And what we know about stocks is that the idea is you have to trade more volume than you did previously to get a better gain, unless you can have some type of compression and stuff to sell. But usually you still have to, in your breakouts, trade more volume because everyone underneath you is going to be selling. So what you need is more volume at these breakout levels, so that not as many people have such a gain percentage discrepancy underneath you, right? Like you need to have people rotate in, so all these, like the 194 gets touched and it comes up to 170, and then everyone sold to 170 who was in at 150, and now everyone now owns at 170, and now everyone breaks past 190 to 2, and now we sell back to 190, and now everyone was in 170 and sold at 2 to 190, everyone gets back in at 190, and that's the idea of stocks, right? So what we're always looking for is a retest of our previous high. Okay, this is going to be the biggest thing that you can have in your arsenal. So let's see, what we know from here now is that 177 can push if it has 2.3 million volume, but that could be your problem, you know. And then a lot of the times you'll notice that if you don't attack it at the right idea, you're not going to get in to where you're supposed to be getting it. Okay, so look, and we do get this 170 push. We get this drip down to 170, and it's not for no reason, right? The 2.6 million rotation in, and you got to think to yourself, okay, we're gonna have to trade more volume, and there's a potential that we can, and then we have all this big level here. We have a little bit of a vacuum, but I'm not sure quite. You know, you don't usually lose this much percentage and then just come back down. So what we're gonna see here from here is we go to 176, test that level, and then we break again for 1.5 for 6%, and then another break for 2.6 million for 5%. So slowly and slowly we're losing gain percentage and we're not getting our breakout value. Like from this breakout here at 160 we go to 180, right? But from this breakout here at 190 we can only get to 2, you know, we only get to 2, we only get 10 cents, and from here we got 50 cents, almost 40 cents, or 40 cents, almost 50 cents. Okay, so it's very important to remember these things, that you know, as the plays get more and more as the plays get filled into, they become less attractive unless there's heavy rotation, unless there's heavy structure, unless there's very contextual reasoning. Okay, so what happens? Okay, we get this high. Okay, we break this high here at 196, and now we come here and we test this high, right? And instead of testing this high and then coming back with a strong forward rotation, we actually test this high and we get a compression and we get a sell. And notice with this compression and sell, we lost volume in both of them. A lot of times you're going to lose volume in your selling weight, though when you break through a level, that's not something you got to think. When you break through a level, that people who are in here and invested at 2 are now underwater, and now they become selling weight. Okay, so where do we end up getting to? We end up getting to here. Okay, so here, now testing 170 again. 170 did have fruit, 170 to 2.2, beautiful play. Okay, very, it's not as quick as you think. It goes from 14 to 14:30, so still 30 minutes play, 30 minutes to make 37%. Okay, well, it's very, 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 very amazing, very quick. So what we get is another 7%, 500K. Okay, now you have risk at 170 if you wanted it. Okay, on a 7% premium. Okay, it pushes up a little bit, and now from here we want to be testing our breaks, and then ooh, look at this. So 892K. You have all this weight on top of you already, and you're not trading more volume into this continuation than you had before. Okay, so it leads to us to test our low actually, and then come down and try to create a new one. Okay, when creating this new low, we have 400K volume, 414, and then 512. Okay, so it means people are clearly exiting. Okay, but now we get to a level where we're pushing down, compressing, and then we push down again another 6% at 298K, looking for our new lows. And then every time we make these lows, we're always going to be looking to test back our previous low. So 165 is going to be the place that you want to see broken out from. 165 ends up being this level that is being held. So we think to ourselves into market open for the next day, what we're going to want to see is a hold of 165, right? Even entry at 165, risking like 165 or so, or around this like area or so. And then you really want to see expansive forward volume, but we actually see that we get this high, and now we're going to be testing 165. We come back down to here, and now we make this low, try to test this low, make a same low, about higher low, break through that. But then our next candle, like we're already in after hours, and then now we're only trading 65K per 5 minutes, and we knew that it took you about 1.5 million shares to move anything reasonable, anything, you know, attractively from these levels of 156 or so. So we're gonna need more volume than this, and more volume than this, it just doesn't show up in the after hours, and everyone's kind of tired from earlier, and there's still weight from this 2 level. So you see this thing kind of clear out like that. What I would like to focus on though as well is this pre-market activity, though. So what happens here at 4 o'clock in the morning, or even from here? This is beautiful. So giant movement, Most people didn't get in here. There's still 1.3 million shares traded though, so you still had time to get in. If I get this to the 1 minute, in 1 minute it probably moves 30% or so. So if you can understand that and you see, and this is, I guarantee you, right at the start of after hours. So as soon as you go to your markets and you click here to after hours, it should be right at the top. Um, from the day before. Obviously, this wasn't from this day. Okay, so it wouldn't have been there, but it was from the day before. So let's see what we have. Make a high. Okay, now we're looking to make a low. We make your low. Okay, test back, looking to press past this low. Okay, make a high, looking to test this low again. Okay, don't break out from our high. Stay at that 3 level. Push down to make a same low still. Now losing volume, losing volume. Remember, this is into after hours, so 18:20, 18:35. This is right to 8 p.m. So there's gonna be less loading in these ideas in these sections, especially as you've already moved 300% in the day, or 300% in 5 minutes. Like, dude, like it just kind of simple in that idea. Here at 2.4 though, we have a interesting inkling of an idea to where if you risk it 2.4 at this breakout at 2.5, there's a possibility we can get back to 3.5 here, right? There's a very possibility, especially into this pre-market where it could spike, and then you don't have the worst risk in the world either because you kind of smoothed out your level, only trading 16K in the 5 minute. Kind of smoothed out your level, you protected your lows, you made a higher low, you broke out with more expansive buying volume, you came back down, and this isn't the most convincing thing in the world, this sideways action, though. We are in a time period of after hours right when the day's closing, so it's like you're not going to expect this to have like an intraday push like with like hundreds of millions of volume. Pre-market starts, and then we get a 3% hit, a 19% hit, but immediately sold back into. So a lot of people, a lot of weight still in these levels that may have not been considered by other people. Though we break out, and then the same idea to test the 2.7 level. When we test the 2.7 level, we actually rip through it. We push a little bit from it. Now we're looking to test this 2.6 level. This 2.6 level gets tested, breaks a little bit, but breaks for 600,000 volume. Okay, 600,000 volume. So we're trading 1/4 of our float in 5 minutes in the pre-market at 6:55 in the morning. Okay, and everything else is already happening as well. There's a lot of plays that are already happening and still moving around. So what we really want to see is a hold of our 2.7 level. Okay, we get back to this 2.7 level and then we break. Okay, so it's a very interesting idea to think that the breakout happens, and then what you're not looking for is the breakout. What you're looking for is the retest of the breakout, because that's going to be your confirmation of a continuation. Okay, and then you could say here, oh well, we got this candle here, this big expansive buy volume, but then immediately we're pressed back into a sell volume. Okay, so until you actually get past 3.2, you don't really have the cleanest thing in the world, the cleanest structure, just because I mean, then contextually as well, like this thing is already up so much money, and then it's almost only on a business acquisition, only on an agreement, and this company's only $1 million company, $3 million company. Like, if this thing was up 30%, that could be a huge, movement. But on the 5 minute, we're just not doing enough. And we see that sink, and then that push from here at this level when we retest this break. Then we get this break, and then we get that retest, and then we get actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 5-minute candles that you would have to hold through in order to reach maximum profit. Though if you had held for 8, 9, 10, you would have lost a lot of your profit. You would have been only up 5% of the day, take it. But then you get cleared out through here, maybe you could have lost money from there. We get this break here, trying to retest 1.5. 1.5 is getting actually kind of bought into and then kind of moved through, though I'm not sure people are too confident about this area. So with this stock right here, oh my god, my mouse is not working. This is kind of what we're seeing. I like to go to the 1 minute though. Let's go to the 1 minute and really take a look at what this thing is looking like on the 1 minute, because it's a different chart. Okay, so on the 1 minute, this is some amazing action. Okay, so this is kind of scary. So 173% in 159,000 volume. So that's a discrepancy. We talk about these inverse ratio discrepancies, and we talk about how when you're gonna move 40% on your price, right? You move 40% on price, but you only move 10% on your float. That's the inverse that you're looking for, though. 173% on only 200K, so a little less than 10% of your float. I mean, that might be a little bit too thin for a hard continuation, right? So what we see from here is we get a test of our low. So I guarantee there's micro levels in here when we get to the 5 second, and then we kind of compress here, and we test this low again, and we're still filling in with more volume though, or equal volume, and then we get that compression here as well. with another actually holding above our previous low. So now we have good risk around 2.2. Entry at around 2.4. Entry around 2.4 to 2.2 get you to 3.4, 38% in 5 minutes, or 38% in 1 minute. My apologies. From 38%, we're still looking to test 2.8. Okay. Um, Maybe not 2.8, maybe even I can't exactly know where they broke out from or where the level was. I assume 2.8 would be a correct level to appreciate. So what happens is we get a 482k compression, and then we get 231k, and then we get a movement 9% of 273k, another compression, and then we push down past where our previous level was. So this is beautiful. We get the breakout, and then you want to retest this breakout, push a little bit, get this volume, but then from here, mouse, please work. Mouse. Oh my goodness. Dog. Dog. I'm gonna have to get a new mouse. This is kind of annoying. Bruv. Bruv, please. Okay. So, very interesting stuff here. We break that level. Now we're coming down with heavy sell volume, heavy sell volume. Come back into this level. Looking to test it, but still losing volume. Not really caring. Breaking through our low. Looking to test our low. We get past it. Or not really get past it. We kind of get up to it. Okay, we get up to our previous low. And now people are going to be risking this 275 level. This 275 level gets floated around the entire time. And then, but we never actually trade more volume than we had before. We actually end up losing volume over the long run, right? Like we get these little spikes though, like this spike, this 275 for 7%, you know, it's like it's not going to be enough to push you to a higher position, especially contextually from 1 o'clock. We're already up 280%. Like this is not going to be something as lucrative, though from 2-1, this can be a very interesting position. From 2-1 to 3, this shows you 42%, okay, 42% in 7 minutes or so. That's a very lucrative movement, and it cannot be sustained throughout the long run. Though again, we get these things, we get these ideas between these charts, and they offer opportunity everywhere. So what we're looking at here is we get this pushback down to this low, make a new low. Now come past and break that low. Okay, now we're going to be risking this break of where we had our high, basically around like 2.3. We collected 2.3, we push from 2.3, we come back down to risk our 2.4 level, we get our 2.4 level, we push up, now we have expansive buy volume, and this thins out, we get this buy volume. Okay, now we're looking to test our 2.5 level. Okay, we break through our 2.5 level, back to our 2.5 level. Ooh, I mean 2.59 to 2.54 is still kind of almost the same level. A little bit more sell volume, though we push back in a little bit, and just enough, only trading a little bit less, almost like 5%, maybe, no, actually less than 1% on our 1 minute. So very, very thin right now currently. And then we kind of just rotate sideways, and then we give us, you know, we're going to give the market, please work as a mouse, dog. What are you doing? Oh my god. Okay. Now to 2.4. So to 3.3, so break from 2.6 to 3.3, it's still a good trade, you know, though you don't have much time at that 2.3 level. You really have to notice that. You get into 2.3, and now you're going to come back immediately to come and test your break, okay? And this was in the 401. So 401, get that quick volume, and then you're done, right? So entry at 2.6, breaks at 10%, get your retest at 2.6, you buy into it, everyone buys into it at the same time, but though you're already up 320% from where you started from, so it's still not lucrative, and you're still not trading quite enough volume. You're not even more volume than you had before here, so you're going to lose your price. Slowly we kind of had the same idea, do the same thing, get to 3.2 again though from 2.4. So this is gonna be something you could be interested in watching. So 2.4, and then you come in here to make this low, you're gonna test that low, and you kind of break out a little bit even here for this big volume spike. Like that's a big volume spike. You could attack that risking 2.6, knowing that you could probably get back to 3.2, knowing that we're a little bit couple hours later, so and we're still kind of held this level in a thin position. Though we can't break past this level again, so that's 1, 2, 3 rejections trying to get past our high, and then now we can sink down. Now we can sink down, and now we can get our low. Now we get our break up past, looking to risk 1.5. 1.5 gets contained, okay? So we push past our previous low. Don't get to break it though. Now we're looking to, but we do get to break from 1.4 to 1.6, okay? So now we're looking at 1.5 as a level. 1.5 is thin, okay, until we come in here with volume, and then we come in here with volume in this spike right here. Okay, now everyone's looking to risk 1.58. 158, 1.6 or so is like that level that people kind of linger around, and look how volume thins out, and then boom, gets accepted. Okay, now we're looking at 172, risking 165. Okay, we push back up through, break. Now we're trading a very strong amount of volume, though almost too much, and we don't get a lucrative break from 1.8 to 1.9 before we start pushing back down to our previous highs. So you see the market really indecisive about where we're supposed to be. It collects a little bit here at this restart. As we thin out with sell volume, come back in with buy volume to where our levels were supposed to be. We push back in again with some more buy volume, though again, we're still trading a very high amount of volume for this time period. And then we're also don't have the best news in the world. We also have other plays moving at the same time. And then we just cap here at this level, can't push much farther past it, and then we come back down and tech our levels out. And this is what we see from this play. And I really have to get a new mouse. I'm sorry about that. SUGP, let's take a look at it. SUGP, start with the day chart. Okay, day chart. Okay, what do we see here? Pretty thin activity. Okay, and then we see though 171% on 21 million. Okay, so this thing is known to move. This thing can move. You had a 37% day here. This went from $9 to $27. This went from $5 to $18. It went from $4 to $11. So this thing can move, and it does move, right? So, but over time, these companies kind of fade out. They kind of get worse. The long-term pattern, the weekly turn, like they just die, right? But we don't care about it just dying. We care about the opportunity in the present moment. What we have here is a nice strong push, and then just fizzle out. And so we're coming from this big vacuum, coming from this 44% dip, and I'd like to see, let's take our internals, so 3.5 million shares to be traded on a $3.5 million company, so a very small company, and let's see if we had any news from this 3 days ago. SU Group awarded next generation cross-border security and high-speed vehicle clearance system installation. Okay, what kind of company is this? A machinery company as well. Operates its business through subsidiaries, turnkey services to existing infrastructure. Okay, so they're kind of like a middleman. Not really a middleman, but more of a service provider. Okay, and we see that they get news of being able to border security, high vehicle clearance, and system installation. I'm not sure how lucrative of an opportunity that would be for the grand market scheme, though. Let's take a look at this thing on the 1 hour. On the 1 hour, we get to see something like this. Okay, so very, very interesting in the idea that we had 27%, and everyone kind of got lost into here. And this is the after hours movement. We lose a ton of our price in intraday the day before. And then we settle down to here. Okay, now we get the settlement. The settlement is a brand new settlement, brand new low. Bro, I need to get a new mouse. I'm going to grab a mouse right now. Sorry about that. A new mouse? Definitely don't want to have a fucked up mouse when you're trading, that's for sure. Take this out. Put this in. Now our mouse is active. Turn this mouse off and send it to the shop. And let's take a look on the 1 hour. Okay, so not the same stuff as we had before, though. This mouse is also dumb. Oh my god, bruv. I don't know which one's worse. Okay, so we see clear build into it. Should I turn the DPI down a little bit? 75k, 747k, and then 17 million for 25%. Technically 79 to 140, about 100%. So we get this huge push in the middle of the day. After this 9% movement, though, 72 to 87 could be definitely seen. We have something from here to here, which is 20% in the intraday, and actually even more than 20% because you opened from here. So we're up 30% here. I settle back down to 15%. Now we get up to 105%. Okay. Now we settle back down to 32%. Now we get it back up to 86%. Now we settle back down to 21%. Get back up to 55%. Settle down to 8%, and then kind of just fade through here. Let's take a look at this on a shorter time frame. And then 17 million shares, about a 5x, a little more than 5x rotation. Let's go to a smaller time frame. Please don't be annoying, mouse. God darn it. God shit and poop, right? This is just textbook stuff, right? Like, at this clearance level, this deadness, okay? We get a little bit of activity in intraday. So even from these breaks though, we still get to test our lows. I mean, test our highs. So we get this break, looking to test at 170. Actually looking to test here. We never really get this test at 69. End up getting it here, push through. Now we get this hard break, and now everyone wants to be in at 74. We get to almost touch 74, 75, 76. So I love the idea of entry at 76, even entry at 79, and you can just risk the previous low. Okay, so you're not going to be losing out too much, especially for the potential of a continuation where we come in for the next 10 minutes. And remember, this is on the 10-minute chart. It's a 10-minute movement. Okay, so it's a little bit longer lasting, and it's a little bit has more legs than the other ones. So or has legs enough to where we can move forward. Okay, so now we get to 84. Okay, so now what we're looking for is our break of 84 actually, because we already had our confirmation retest of 77. We're looking for a break of 84, and then we come through and we get that at 1 o'clock. Okay, so now we're looking to re-enter at 85. We never get that re-entry at 85, not until now. Okay, so what happens from here though is we come here, we push to 109. Okay, so I guarantee you in the micro level this is gonna be more interesting, though we kind of do get a test back to 91. So we go from 84 up to 108, back down to 91, back to 140. Okay, from 140 we've traded 5 million shares in 10 minutes. So we've rotated our float twice almost in just 10 minutes, right? Like that's very like you're gonna keep doing that the entire day? Probably not, especially on like news that really wasn't the best in the world. Okay, so now we get to push back down to here, and then we do kind of float through. I don't want to skip over too quickly, but we make a low, fucking come back and test the low, make a low, come back and test the low, make a low, come back and test the low a little bit. From this position, we see a risk of our break from 96. Break from 96 gets picked up here for this 26% on 4.1 million in 10 minutes. So trading less volume than we did before this previous breakout. And the big problem here is that you're not breaking out from this previous level either, and you actually go to test your previous high with more expansive sell volume, and then you just lose your volume entirely. Okay, so 1.5, so from 4.9 to 1.5, and then just kind of just bleeds out, right? That's the idea with that one. Let's go to a smaller time frame and see if we can see anything more interesting into these ideas. So okay, here's what we're gonna get this movement from 76 to 85. Okay, breakout around 76. 76 gets touched again. We clear out with volume. We push back down. 76 is still a level people are looking at. Now we fill in with volume, 41K and 47K compared to 1K on the 1 minute. Okay, so if that doesn't scream, if a 40x in volume doesn't tell you something, then you need to start reconsidering what you're looking at. Okay, and we get to test this break. Okay, thin out with volume. Now that 1%. Okay, that's not even that much. And then we move through. We fill in, and now we get our break at 90. And now we push up hard immediately, okay? And push up hard again. Like, look at this movement. Beautiful movement, okay? So to not be scared of these plays and understand, okay, I'm gonna push from here. Can I trade more volume than 77K a minute? And we just proved we can trade about 1.4 million a minute here, okay? So with these stocks, it's good to keep in mind you can actually trade about half your float in 1 minute, okay? But that could probably be your peak. We can keep that in our mind as our peak, okay? Or as a general idea of what too much volume looks like. But 77K in explosive movement, meaning people are actively participating, they want to be in here, and they see this level as a safe level, risking a clean 84, okay? Only moving up 6%, okay? Our next movement moves us to 5% up again, another 212. So we actually almost triple our volume. This is a very, very interesting level, and this is something you should really be taking an eye on. Now we compress, and we stay in this level range where we're really rotating in hard, and we're not rotating in so hard that we don't allow other people to get in, though we're rotating enough to where it's enough rotation to where we can know that we're stable with these positions. So to stay with this position, now we're risking 93. 93 gets bought in and broken out from at 104. Now we get a halt, okay, back down to 93 to where you wanted to previously risk. We get this volume influx at 600,000, okay, so now we're way more volume than we had before. So can we break out? Probably. We get this push to 1, we get this push to 1.8, okay, and now 1.8 gets activated with more volume. Now looking at risk at 105. We don't even really get that. Maybe we get that within the candle, though. We get that break immediately, and then from that break immediately we get another break immediately, especially as we moved up with a little bit less volume than we had previously, 1.3 million to 500K, but it's still a 6% movement up, and people see that as advantageous. So from 1.2 to 1.4, you can make 14% in 1 minute. Another halt, another retest of our high, push back down again. And from here, we get back to our previous low, trying to test our low, trying to make a new high, trying to make a new low. And then we push down, and now slowly, and we push down at this level, starting to clear out with our volume, trying to make a new low, pushing through 450K, and slowly we're going to bleed this until we get to something like this. Now we made our new low with 625K, and then immediately 300K back to a 4% increase. So now we're looking to risk 1.3. 1.3 comes through and it gets risked and it gets sent through. So you want to see this level hold, right? It doesn't hold, but now we get a new low at 94, and now we get this same inverse where we go from 196K to 351K. Okay, so that's a ding 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 dinner bell. Okay, so 92 risk at an entry of 99 is still a very solid risk, especially as you moved and lost a lot of your sell volume, and now you can have maybe a push for another leg. And then look what we get here. So we get a confirmation here, and then we get a sell back to our previous high, another confirmation here with a valid amount of volume. We break from that. Okay, break from that again, more volume, break from that again with more volume. Now we have a big sell volume with the same amount of sell volume going to retest your high. And when you retest your high, you almost dip a little bit below it, and then you dip a little below again. So entry at 99, even selling at 1.5 is it's still 15%, you know? So 15% every day is still going to be a very lucrative movement. So this is kind of what we get from this play. Okay, let's look at ELOG. So as you see, as you go down the list, these plays are going to get worse and worse and worse. Like I go to DSXT, like it's going to be a lot thinner. It's going to be a lot different. DSXT is actually a big movement from a couple days before. So in this intraday session, you know, we moved up from after hours 75%, and then we kind of built in from here, but we didn't have as much movement room just because we had all this previous activity from the couple days before. So a lot of these plays are going to be down here, going to be plays from earlier in the week, or maybe plays that just didn't have as much breathing room. So what were we on? We were on ELOG. Take a look at ELOG on the 1 hour. Actually, let's go to the 1 day. Take a look at what we look at. Or take a look at what we're seeing. Okay, so still a lot of deadness. No real proven movements. That's like, I mean, 30% in a day, and then, you know, 11% here in this day from 90, or it could be more than that. You don't exactly know because it opened high. So even from 80 to only 20%. So nothing really crazy. And then 38% in this day is just nothing insane. A little bit bigger of a company, 7 million and then 8 million. And let's see what we had for news. So for news on this is 6.5 actually. We don't have any news at all. So it's more of a volume play, and we actually get to see the mechanics of that, as in the idea that you're pushing this volume at 25%, and now you're looking to retest your low. You can't break from here. You kind of get that confirmation. Another 1.3 million volume, though immediately met with the same amount of volume in a selling action, coming to push and then breaking through your previous high level. Holding though, I mean, you're holding at a new low, break that. Now you're holding at 1.4, okay? Now, 1.4 becomes a very lucrative position. It ends up actually getting filled into for the break of 1.26, now at 1.8. Okay, so that would have been very interesting to trade from. And look at this trade. Look at it goes from 14, so about 4 o'clock. No, a little bit less. So about 2 o'clock or so. It moves 25%. Everyone sees that. We get to hold our level, and then into look at this. This is very interesting. It goes to the last hour of after hours, like literally at 7 p.m. You get your break after thinning out, protecting your level. People get risky, they take that break, and then it sells off, get the break again, and it sells off again. Okay, so same stuff we're looking at. 214K for 35%. Okay, and then another 300K for nothing. Okay, now coming down to test our low, and we switch out to almost nothing. Okay, or not nothing, but like, you know, make a high, come back down, actually coming to test your previous high at 27, pushed it, and then now we're coming to break down past again. We can't get pushed past with less volume. Okay, 182 on this break and 214 on this break. Okay, so we have less volume than we're selling with equal amount of pressure. So this one is more of like a C tier stock, though you could still make a very valid, a very wise decision, though understand that on the 5 minute you don't have much time to sell back to if you want to take the maximum profit, at least from the earliestness of the move. Okay, so clear mind. Let's take a look at this one. I actually got stuck in this one and actually was just not trading very well. 1 million float, 4 million market cap. Okay, and let's see what our news was. This was from about 3 days ago. So what did they do? What did they do? Oh, so regains. Well, that's EUDA. Okay. Clear mind. I know they had something. I don't know why because I'm on watch list news. God darn it. Right? Okay, so here we go. From the 3 days ago, Clear Mind featured new insights from CMND 100 psychedelic clinical trial on Inside MEAI webinar. Okay, so um, they're going to host on June 10th a webinar on their latest clinical data from phase evaluating CMND 100. So I guess the drug that they're working on. And this drug is a drug that is a novel compound for AD depression, and or at least the designer of the drug and the doctors. Investigator, okay. Non-hallucinogenic second-generation neuroplastogen-derived therapeutics to solve major undertreated health problems today, and now host a live webinar titled, yeah. So basically a depression drug they're working on, and they're going to release data about. Okay, so what we see is we move from 2.6, 2.8 to 4.6 very quickly, immediately, in 5 minutes. Okay, and this is happening at 7:35 in the morning. Okay, from here, okay, we've already traded 600K. Okay, and that's not like the biggest downfall in the world, though. 53% for 600K, and then we get expansive sell volume, more sell volume, looking to test our lows. We break that. So we get our low. Now we push back from 3.6, and we can't really, we're kind of testing our lows, though. So we get our low, come back to test our low, and now flatten out. Still kind of riding this level. Try to break actually with more volume, 1.4, but it doesn't move anywhere. And then we slowly just drip out. Slowly just hold this level. Actually very, very flat. This could be interesting for continuation for the next day. Though it doesn't have the best news. It's not like they just had a brand new pad and they didn't release any new technology yet. They don't actually have the true news. We don't know what the data is. So it's a lot less likely to invest into it, especially when you go from 2.8 to 4.5. You're already at 53% on the day. And then come into intraday and you can't move at all. You can't break this level. There's no room for people to make money. Okay. Go to the 1 minute. What does this look like in the 1 minute? Get something like this. So 19% in 1 minute, 16% in 1 minute, 10% in 1 minute, 12% negative. Looking to test again. Now we're at 400K. You have to trade 400K a minute or more at 7:38 in the morning, when all the other plays are happening as well, and all the other potential is. You have to think, if I'm a trader, the idea behind trading is not capital, it's not quantity of trades, it's quality of trades, okay? So a lot of people are going to see this at 53%, having to rotate more volume. They're going to be looking for a discount or a break of that high level, or even a real creation of a real good new low. We don't even have the best volume. We're still a small company, so we're easily manipulatable. We trade all this volume. We can't move past our high. We already moved up so much in the day. Like, we didn't move so much, but we moved up about enough to where the news kind of makes sense to a degree, though. So this could be good for continuation for a day two, though I don't love the potential, at least. Though, I mean, there's I don't know. I don't know 100% if this thing is even worth. But 3.7 to 4.8 though is very interesting. 30% in pre-market. Though you don't have much time to sell here at this level before you just completely crash, right? Don't have much time at all. Unlike something like STI, where buying here, you spike up, you got all the time in the world. Spike up, you still got all the time in the world to sell or buy. Spike up, and now you don't have any time. Boom, now your time's gone. Okay, now you lost your shit. You lost your movement. This thing could still move pretty nicely for the next day, though. So that was CMND. Very interesting, though. I mean, we go from 3.6 to 4.5 back in the intraday, though. This is something that, I mean, honestly, you just got to find these depths, you got to find these movements to where we make this low, try to test it, try to make a new high. We can't do that, and we already traded so much volume. We're not going to trade much more, and we already had so much percentage gain that all these people are going to be wanting to sell. Remember, everyone who's made money underneath you wants to sell, okay? And if you want to make more money in the stock, if the stock wants to move higher, you have to trade more volume, okay? And what we see is as we get to these tops and as we try to keep going forward and hit these tops, we're going to lose volume and actually create a new low from that. Get that new low. And from that new low, now we can start testing against that low. Now we can start testing towards that high again. So now we get 8% and a 6% candle. So about 14%. So now we're looking to risk 3.7. 3.7 was confirmed. 3.7 kind of gets held through the entire time, actually. 3.7, yeah, 3.7 gets held, and then it gets pushed all the way up to 4.8, okay? So from 4.8, so push in, more volume, expansive. Can't break the 4.8 level, though, even with all the attempt in the world. Immediately push back down. Everyone notices this, and heavy sell volume. Now back to this 3.7 level where you were current previously. 3.7 gets picked up again, and then from here, look at this big difference. So, um, go from 7.5K in a minute to 132K in a minute. Okay, so that's a big signal, especially as at your previous high. So what you're gonna want to be looking at is a risk at 3.7, entry at risk at 3.7, entry at 3.7, and then looking to push with volume, and then boom, like that's a death candle, right? Kind of buy back into it a little bit, and then we just slowly peel off. So 3.7 to 4.1, not that much fruit, 11%. You know, obviously, you know, if you think you're a mega mine and you are a mega mine, maybe you get to 23%, but you know, I mean, don't disrespect 23%. My apologies. Like, it's still a ton of money, okay? And still quality trade, though it's not as much as the other potential movements that we had earlier that we saw in the other breakdown. Okay, so what we see from this stock is a small stock, not the best news in the world, a real hard rip, and then we get our retest at the bottoms here at this 37 level when we confirm with volume as we cleared out a little bit, made our new low, tried to test our new low, pushed through our new low, come back down to our previous high, push back in again, clear out a little bit, come back to our previous high, push back again, clear out a little bit more, and now we get our little bit of our movement, though we can't break through from here. We don't have the best volume. People maybe got a little bit too excited, and then they push back down again. Same exact thing happens, get too excited, and we push back down again, okay? So this thing's always going to try to reach an equilibrium. You kind of got to play in between. Sleep number. This one's wild, man. This one is wild. Going from 33 to 89 within 30 minutes. 300% in 30 minutes. Okay? Take a look at on the day chart. Sleep number. Sleep number, sleep number, sleep number. What do we see? Okay, this could be interesting. So from 2.6, we've actually moved from 13 down to almost 27 cents. What I think happened with sleep number was NASDAQ compliance, needing to be over $1 to stay within the company. So let's actually see what they had. So that's not it. 3 days ago, what we get? Wolf Halderstein, Outer Freeman, and Hertz LLP is investigating potential securities fraud claims on behalf of shareholders of Sleep Number Corporation. Securities fraud under all lawful businesses. Announcing its financial results from the first quarter. Sleep Number average GAAP earnings loss $2 per share. Okay, $1 per share. Missing consensus about $1 per share. So, missing consensus by 1.72. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know exactly why that would cause this thing to move so much. Maybe just because it was down so much and then volume hit. Like, honestly, like, we really don't care about anything besides the fact that we traded 305 million shares in a day, right? And then after actually moving down 67%, this is actually probably the reason why we moved up so much. Look, like, if you look at a lot of times people will be looking for, instead of actually looking at top gainers or top 5 from the past day, what people will look at is top losers, okay? So top losers of the day, and a lot of times if you have the right formulation, the right movement, the right idea, you lose 67%. Now you have that big vacuum, you have that brand new beautiful low level that no one wants to be in at. People fill in at that level, and then we can break from there, okay? So we see from the day before, we actually trade 25 million shares realistically, and that's like almost that's a 25x from our average comparative volume, okay? I mean these past days are big, but these are just because these are the days that you lost 34%, okay, and then you lost 15%, and then you lost 67%, okay? Now you moved up from 30 to 89 back to about 49, okay? So still trying to find equilibrium, though we see, you know, big push down, settlement, break out from that push back down, okay? Let's go into the 1 minute. I like to see the 1 minute on this chart. See what we are facing. Something like this. Even let's do the 10 minute. Let's do the 10 minute first. just because the 10 minute is a little bit easier to notice. Okay, so if we logged into our thing and we checked intraday, what we could see from this thing is 28% and 9 million volume. Okay, we have a 20 million float and 9 million market cap. Okay, so 9 million volume, we trade 50% of our float for 28%. That's not the exact inverse ratio, but what that is still a very beautiful ratio in the idea that we trade 50% of our float, we have very active participation, okay, and then we moved up 28%, okay, so we were willing to move up within that play, okay. Now people are probably going to want to be risking around that 35 level. At 35 level to 38 level does get touched, and we confirm with volume with another 8 million shares. So 8 million shares, now we're at 100% float rotation, and then 100% float rotation in at 1%. So, okay, so if everyone's in at the same exact time, are we going to sell this back down to 20 after we already went down from 67% a couple days before? No chance. We get an explosive 47 million, 95% move. From there, we cannot trade more volume than that. Come down to retest our previous high, actually. We get actually a new low, break that low. Now looking to retest this high at 57. Kind of push back down through that 57 level. So, and we can't trade more volume than we had before, or even enough to keep moving forward. We're still trading a lot of volume, though less than we had before. And this is on the 10 minute. Okay, and we push down now to this new level. Now we break out. Now looking to risk 43. 43 is not really getting accepted and it's kind of getting faded through. Okay, so these are the ideas. And remember, we make a new low, then we go to test that low. Okay, make a low, test the low. Okay, push back through, settle down, make a low, test that low, settle back down through. Okay, unless you get the break and then you get the confirmation of the break, then you get more volume to settle and come forward. Okay, so now at the 1 million, 1 minute, my bad, uno minuto, we can see that we have this structure right here. I mean, this is just amazing. This is something you really have to sink into your brain about what you're looking at here. So boom, starting off the day, going from 335 shares traded in a minute to 176,000 shares. Okay, again, that's a huge discrepancy. Only moving 1%. Another 2%, 22K. Okay, and now we get the 71K. Okay, risking against 34, and then we push up hard, 12% to 500,000 shares. Okay, so that's your big attractor. Now you can risk against 36, average of 36 or so. Okay. You push down, only get to 39, don't even really get to do it, and then compress again. So look, this fill in right here kind of confirms your volume, it kind of confirms your suspicions, actually only being up 12%, okay? And then you come in with another 1,000,008 volume, 1.8 million volume, okay? Out of 20 million, you come in with another, you just expressive, hard movement in, right? So like all the people who could have sold, who made this 12%, and what really is going to happen is everyone else is going to fill into this position. Okay, we get that break, another 13%. Now people are looking at 43 as a level. 43 comes through and gets touched, and then boom, kind of pushed through actually a little bit. But then we get this movement to where, and remember, we never actually tested the 39 level. Isn't this interesting? Remember when I said I wanted that risk at 39 and we didn't get it? And then we come through to something like this, and now we get that risk at 39. So that's the beauty of trading, to where like when you follow your rules and you say, okay, now we get this break, and I want to retest at 39. Honestly, you could have been in at the same exact time because it kind of did come back through. On the micro level, you'll see it that it does probably play a lot more adherent to its previous highs and stuff. But after this movement of 1.7 million in a minute, we're like, okay, well, we're probably not going to be able to trade much more than 1.7 in a minute unless we have good structure. Okay, so we push down, make this new high. Now we get this imbalance here with volume, so we get a 4%, and then immediately picked up. Like none of these were really picked up until we get to here. Okay, from here, now we have our good risk. We have a good risk at probably like that, I can't remember exactly, from the break, probably like 39 or so. Don't even get to touch 39. Fill in immediately. Now looking to break 44. Okay, so entry at 44, risking 42 is a beautiful entry, especially as you have all this volume underneath you as well, and all this volume to come in, and the volume is not, on a percentage basis, trading about 5% every minute. Okay, so on pace to move your rotation in, do a whole rotation in 20 minutes. Okay, so we're very active. We're very participatory. Now we get this break, looking to retest at 49. We kind of get this swarm in here in this confirmation. Now we get another huge break at 65, okay? Looking for 52 as a level. You never get 52. 52 does not come back. 52 does not come back until about like right here. And you can still capitalize on 52 to 71, though. You're going to miss this part right here. So how do we not miss this part right here? It's very important. What we can see is a push and a compression, okay, with more volume. And another steady, like look at these percentages. 8%. 3%, 8%, 8%, 3%, 4%, 7%. So slowly inching up, and then getting to a point where you're trading too much volume. Like you're not going to be able to sustain this forever, and everyone knows it. So everyone's kind of slowly selling, slowly buying, slowly selling, slowly buying, slowly selling, and then just like eventually get to a point where you just can't contain this anymore, and then you break your previous highs. So it's always about your previous highs, your previous high being respected. And even if you wanted to buy here, you say, okay, I want to buy here, and this break of 73, and I'm going to risk 62. So a little bit more of a risk because you had such a big violent move. And then from this risk of 72, you're looking at every single level, and okay, every single time you get up higher, okay, now your risk sets up to a little bit higher. Now risk to a little bit higher. Now risk to a little bit higher. Okay, he does kind of crack through a little bit actually, pushes through, and then just settles back down through for the rest of the day. Okay, very interesting. BNAI. Let's take a look at BNAI. Okay, 15 to 30, 100% move. Look at the day chart. Okay, huge activity from the past couple months. So like in January, we proved that we can move 276% in a day. This day actually ends up moving 15 to 30, 100%. Okay, but we're still coming off a lot of weight from this previous movements, previous ideas. Look at this company, $1.72 million float, though a $38 million company, so a lot heavier, a lot bigger. That's why we see this movement's a little bit different. Okay, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, let's see what we get. It closed on a $1 million private placement. Okay, so private placements, some of the best stuff you could ever see is news, just because what that is another company literally giving you $1 million, right? They literally just give you $1 million. Like, obviously they want you to return on your investment, though. That just shows confidence in the company. Okay, when an independent investor is giving you money for your company. Okay, it's not like you had news of like, you restructured your debt. It's not like you had news that like, the Nasdaq just sent you a letter that you're missing your compliance. Though $1 million private placement for, they invested $1 million. They actually did the private placement, so they didn't get $1 million. They invested $1 million. Okay, so that's a lot different than getting $1 million. It's still enough to show that this company is moving forward and wanting to expand itself and wanting to create itself a little bit better and move forward. I don't have the best language, but whatever. It's still the idea that there's still hype around the company, there's still activity around the company, and this company wants to move forward. It already had huge days, like a huge week, going from $7 to $82, right? And then back to $19, back to $60, okay? Back to $33, back to $50, now back down to $12. Had a brand new low, back to $36. So from 12 to 36 is your idea. On the 3-minute, we see this idea to where, actually let's go to the 10-minute, because we're going to come in, and what you could have actually noticed from this play as well is that it was up the day before about, I think about 30% or so. About 30% or so, okay? Leading you into this big explosive movement to break past this 18 level. We get this break past this 18 level on a 67K in 10 minutes. Still kind of light trading, though only a $1.72 million company, 1.72 million float, and a $38 million company. So it's bigger, it's going to be slower, and it's going to be more contained. Okay, you don't need as much inverse ratio volume in order to trade hard. Okay, so we ended up actually getting 1.87 million in the 10-minute. Okay, at our peak. What this looks like from here. So coming with volume, get a break of our previous high, coming in to test our previous high, push down past it, but this gets confirmation again, but you completely thin out. So it's not really a true break. It's just kind of like middleman selling kind of stuff. Now to 17, breaks from 18, risking 17, filling in with volume, clearing out, coming with volume again. Now you have clear risk at 18, entry at 830. Okay, push up hard with volume, nice solid breakouts. Okay, now we're looking to retest 19 or even probably 18, because you never really got the retest at 18. And you get that retest at 18. Now we come in with more heavy volume. You get that break, pushing past 20. Okay, now you're always looking at your previous highs. And as we go up to here, what we're going to see is here's your previous high. You break through it, you lose your volume. You can't trade more volume than you had before. Every time you break out and you clear out, you still have equal to or more volume, right? So, and when you don't get that, you just kind of fade out. Like, it's the same play every single time. And I hope you guys are seeing these things, what I'm talking about. I hope you guys are seeing that we make this, at this low here, right? This set level, we push past it, okay? Now, since we push past it, now we're looking to risk off the 17 level, okay? And now we come in with volume. You can see here volume spike up, volume spikes, and it's enough volume to where we can actually get solid price movement. And that's only 4%, right? 4% on 40K, which is Um, Still a small percentage. So if he did like, this is on the 1 minute, so what is it? 40K divided by 1.7 million. Oh, I pressed times. I'm sorry. Oh my God! Oh, I did it. I thought I did it again. So 2% for 4%, still getting that inverse ratio, settling down. Now influxing with more volume, coming back in. And remember, you're going to get these smaller ratios just because you have such a bigger company. It's going to be harder to move it forward, and there's not as much activity. So you get this movement here, and when this break here happens from this previous level, after this hold of this level, come back in to break it, get your equal to volume, pushing in hard, and then you get your confirmation at 7%. Everyone wants to be back in at 22. Don't even get to come back to 22. You actually sink back through. Actually, 23 ends up being that level because you held. Now you push past, held. Even though you're still coming down to about 25 to where you previously were, 25 to 30. Now you're trading 174K for the past, 18 minutes, 20 minutes. It's going to be hard to continue further, and then we actually get to see this confirmation through this price structure degradation, and we actually break through this position and to push down low. So that was the breakout. That was the last 5 gainers, okay? And the beauty of this play actually comes from this previous day. This previous day is everything you want to know about, and it's a very thin previous day, though. It moves forward, and it doesn't have to be very thick, though, because you've already lost so much price. You've lost so much price coming from 56, right? So much price. And on the 2 hour, we can even see this level like 20% coming to retest your high, break, coming to retest your high, break, coming to retest your high. Like, it's the same fucking play, guys, every time, right? Like here, like make a low, and then come to retest your low, all right? And then come back down, like clear mind, like, okay, break out from where you were, okay? Come back down to, so break out, retest where you broke from, push again, slowly degrade back down to where you were. Now break again from that previous thing, okay? ELOG, break, get your compression, and then you get to actually move forward with less volume and get to hold. So we had a little bit better legs in this position, even a small company as well. And then you get to break from there as well. Now looking to retest again from 1 through 4. SUGP, okay, you make a low, retest your low, come back down through, okay? BMG, you make a high, now looking to retest your break of your high at 1.7, maybe even a little bit higher, but that's what your idea is right there. STI, coming from push, now looking to retest your break, confirm, break out, push, now coming to retest your break at 26, push out, beautiful stuff. RMSG, look, we go break, okay, testing this high, pushing with more volume, break hard, now coming in, trying to test this thing again, pushing with more volume into these intraday, and then I'll come back down, break your level from your previous high, remove it, and then come back down to your level. NOTV, same idea, huge sell down, and then you break out, test your lows, and come back up. SPHL, break your section, and then now coming down to fucking test it again. Break your section, come back down to test it again. So same stuff every time, guys, though it is very nuanced and it's very, it's stuff you just have to understand. Not understand. It's just stuff you have to learn over time and stuff that you'll eventually get a hang of. But that was the number 5 through 10 top gainers of the day. Next couple of videos I'm thinking would be how to build a watch list, would be how to do tracking, how to track your stocks, and then maybe we could even talk about some mindset stuff, and maybe we could talk about the difference between like the time periods and like the rotations and stuff. But that was this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you did watch, hope you learned something, hope you benefited from this. If you didn't, sorry, but more to come in the future. Thank you guys.